In this video, I'm going to be talking about a character from the Scream series, which is one of my favorite. Wow, I can't talk at all. Which is one of my favorite movie series. If you haven't seen the series, especially if you haven't seen the fifth movie, do not watch this video. First, watch the entire series, but watch it through VidAngel so you can kind of mute out and cut out the unnecessary language and topics and scenes. But after you've done that, then come back and watch this video. But for those of us that have watched the entire series, then let's get to the topic at hand.
I didn't know him well, but he helped me.
That's what he did. He helped people.
This is one of my favorite lines. Now that I think about it, probably in the whole Scream series. Talking about Dewey, Gale says, that's what he did. He helped people, because that's what Sam told Gale. Is like, yeah, Dewey, before he was gone, he helped me, and my sister would be dead had he not done that. And that was not uncharacteristic of him at all. And just, that makes me think, is like, just imagine if everyone's goal was to be known for doing good, for helping people, how much greater would the world be? And some might think, well, I have these massive goals in mind that I want to be known for, well, for example, for music, for doing music, or for just being massively successful in this realm or another. And those aren't bad things in and of themselves. But the underlying goal, even before all of that, should be to do good, to love God and love others. A while ago, when I was working almost full time, I didn't have sufficient time to adequately do all of the tasks that I had been doing before I had gotten this job. And then I just figured out that it's like, in spite of the fact that I can't do everything I want to every single day, I still have the opportunity every single day to do good. And that, again, that should be everyone's goal. When Dewey died, it felt like a part of me died. And yeah, I know that sounds like, oh, cringe, bro, cringe, whatever. He was and is one of my favorite fictional characters, if not my favorite fictional character. And he was and is many Scream fans' favorite character, and for good reason. He's the fan favorite not just because of his personality, but also because of his character traits that made him a good person, whether you realize that initially or not, that's one of the reasons you like him. It most likely is. In the fifth movie, we first see Dewey, and he is in a very low spot in life. He is living in a trailer of sorts after being asked to step down from being the sheriff. He was previously married to Gale. He's no longer with her. He is still living with the wounds from that he obtained from previous movies, having been stabbed, as he said, 9 times. And he would have had good reason, at least it would appear to have been good reason, to stay in his trailer and to not engage for the last dance, as I like to call it. He didn't have to help. Again, the lowest he's ever been that we've ever seen him, which reminds me of a Marcus Aurelius quote. It says, just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter. Cold or warm, tired or well-rested, despised or honored. It doesn't matter. Just that you do good. And Dewey certainly did that. the last interaction he has with Sam before he ultimately gets killed, he's thinking to himself, okay, I just got these kids to safety. They're in the elevator, but there's still something that needs to be done. I spaced out. You gotta blast this guy in the head, or he's gonna come back. He had the complete mission in mind, not just the, okay, checkpoint done, let's just get the heck out of here. It's like, no. This guy's still here. He's still gonna be trying to get these people that Dewey had just met, mind you, within the previous days. He's like, oh, there's still work that needs to be done. And Sam, she doesn't say this exactly, but she essentially, with some added language, she says, who cares? So after Dewey's saying, oh man, you got to shoot him in the head, or they always come back. And Sam is like, who cares? And Dewey's response is perfect. I do. Even if no one else, for example, cares to be kind to the outcasts, even if no one else thinks that the truth matters, even if no one else cares to do good, don't ever let that deter you from caring. Next time you're asked, who cares, in reference to something that you find important, something that is important, remember Dewey and say, I do. I care. We don't know if Dewey initially planned on helping to apprehend Ghostface or take him down to any extent. We don't know if he was going to initially try to help with that. Maybe so. But he fortunately was able to call Sydney one last time, and he basically was just warning her. He's like, okay, Ghostface is here, so make sure you don't come here. And Sydney said to Dewey, he's like, well, those kids are lucky to have you to protect them. And yeah, you could say she unknowingly guilt-tripped Dewey to some extent into doing that. But even then, he didn't have to protect them. By no means did he have to, but he did, because it's important that you be the person that people think you are. Be the best version of yourself, the one that when people think of you and the best you've been, strive to be that always. Ephesians 4 verses 1 through 2 says, therefore I, the prisoner of the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling with which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness, with patience, bearing with one another in love. Dewey certainly did that. He died with honor. Wow, that's ironic. That's what I said. And speaking of all this, reminds me of a Jordan Peterson clip that I watched recently. It can't be more than 10 seconds, but he essentially says, if you did for 10 years what you know you have to do by your own definition, what would you be like? What would your life be like? And I know, at least from my experience, there are a set of things that, in a set of ways of living that I know I should be living like. Did I say that right? There are certain things that I should be doing, that I know I have to do. Even if I don't know necessarily how my entire life is supposed to look, there are a handful of things that I feel called to be doing, that I can certainly be doing more of and be doing better at. And I assume it's the case for you as well. There are things that you know you should be doing. So do them. And again, there's a person you're supposed to be. Be that person. Once again, the best version of you. Man, I just think back to watching the movie for the first time, Scream 5. I knew for a fact when the elevator shut with the reverb and the delay, I knew that Dewey was about to die. I just knew it. And maybe part of it is the fact that I had seen trailers for the newest Scream, and he wasn't in the trailers. So maybe in the back of my mind, I just was thinking of that, and I just figured it's like, okay, he's gonna die. But I would have bet money if we paused the movie. I would have bet money he was about to die. I never curse about a movie. That time I did. This man lived through decades of the story and through 4 of the movies to be killed in the 5th one. I'm not necessarily complaining about the decision to kill him. I certainly, have my issues with it, but just the fact that he died, it just, as I said earlier, a part of me died when he did. Such a shame he's gone, but there's a quote that says, when a tyrant dies, his rule ends. When a martyr dies, his rule begins. Now, Dewey wasn't necessarily... Well, I don't know what the textbook definition for a martyr would be, but the whole point is his character is... Everyone sees it as very meaningful because he died. There are a subset of people that would have seen his character as important anyway, but another subset that wouldn't have cared much until he died. And then they're like, wow, okay, he was actually great. He was really good. So once again, if you remember nothing else from this video, just remember to be like Dewey and be the best version of yourself that you can be. Thank you for watching. Remember to treat others the way that you want to be treated, to love God and love your neighbor, and therefore you will be a good person.